The air feels charged, not loud, but dense, like the moment before lightning strikes. The solar-lunar merge hums beneath the surface of everything, pressing on your heartbeat, asking if you're ready to synchronize. This is not an external event, it's an interior alignment, where the masculine fire of motion meets the lunar tide of surrender. Time stretches thin between inhale and exhale, and every delay, every hesitation becomes visible. You can feel the portal narrowing, a corridor of frequency closing around your indecision. The warning is not punishment, it's a summons. Before the merge seals, your actions or your silence will decide which timeline holds you. You'll notice it first in the small, ordinary glitches, your hand hovering above the send button, rewriting the same message 3 times because the subtext keeps shifting. You think you're searching for the perfect sentence. You're actually trying to delay the frequency checkpoint. You refresh the same thread, scroll the same feed, circle the same memories as if repetition could grant you entry. It can't. This energy exposes the way the mind mimics safety with loops rereading old promises, stocking timelines for omens, turning apologies into bargaining chips. Even productivity becomes a disguise, sudden urges to reorganize, overplan, micromanage the future because control feels easier than intimacy with the unknown. Notice how your body tightens when you try to get closure. That phrase is code for make the past behave. The merge will not stoop to your rules. It asks you to rise to its rhythm. You'll also notice the surge of confession energy, impulsive truth dumps at midnight. We need to talk texts, the need to label what never had a name. The heart isn't wrong to want honesty. It's mistimed when it confuses urgency with alignment. This field runs on precision. Words that once soothed now clutter the doorway. There is a difference between clarity and compulsion. Compulsion shouts so you don't have to feel. Clarity speaks softly after you do. Relationships mirror the polarity test. One friend goes silent and you write a whole mythology from the gap. Another mirrors your impatience, returning your heat with their own. Arguments ignite over logistics, but the real drama is in tempo. Who will force the pace? Who will surrender to sync? The collective nervous system is overstimulated. Caffeine, headlines, and background panic make it feel like action equals safety. It doesn't. Under this sky, stillness is a blade that cuts the counterfeit chords. If you can't hold still for 60 seconds, the body is telling you your timeline is borrowed. Money and purpose mirror it too. Sudden fear spikes around bills, launches, or outcomes you can't guarantee. Watch the impulse to accept misaligned opportunities because scarcity is loud. The merge exposes bargains you've made with your own light, times you traded resonance for reassurance. The test isn't whether you can manifest harder, it's whether you can refuse what dilutes your signal. Alignment has a sound. When you force, you lose pitch. Even the house cooperates with the lesson lights flicker, apps lag. Devices update at the worst moment. The field interrupts the shallow focus, so you'll choose the deeper one. Your sleep changes vivid dreams, visitations, unfinished scenes from old timelines. You wake charged or heavy, as if returning from negotiations you can't remember. You're not broken, you're being calibrated. Notice your micro-choices. Do you feed the loop or exit it? Do you tell the story or breathe the tone beneath it? Every reflex becomes a referendum on frequency. The mirror doesn't shame, it reveals. And once you see the pattern, the choice is clean spiral for comfort or a line for entry. You step into the merge field the way a diver steps through the skin of water. No splash, only a sudden change of pressure. Sound thins until even your thoughts arrive with a soft echo, as if spoken in a high chamber. Colors refuse their borders. Gold softens into silver. Silver warms back into gold. And you realize it's not light that's moving, It's your certainty. The edges you wore as armor loosen. What you used to call me becomes a corridor. What you used to call time becomes breath. Here, intention and surrender circle each other like twin stars sharing gravity. When you lean too hard into intention, the field thickens, a subtle resistance like walking through fog with clenched fists. When you collapse into surrender as escape, the floor gives way and you drift, untethered, losing the note. Balance is not a 50-50 truce. It's a living ratio that updates every heartbeat. One moment asks for a single hair's breadth of will. The next asks you to open both hands and let the river choose. The test is exquisite and quiet. No scoreboard, no applause, only resonance. You notice how language falters here. Verbs slow down. Nouns become verbs. Prayer becomes geometry. The sentence "I am ready" is less effective than the way your shoulder blades relax, the way your jaw unhooks from the future. The field listens to posture more than promises. You train yourself to speak with your spine length on inhale, weight on exhale, crown remembering sky, souls remembering earth. The body writes the permission slip the mind keeps misplacing. Old stories approach to negotiate one last time. They show you headlines from your private archive, the moment you weren't chosen, the moment you didn't stay, the moment you mistook noise for love. You don't argue. You witness. In the merge field, witnessing is alchemy. A memory held without defense returns its minerals to you. Courage, tenderness, discretion, and the slag falls away. You keep the ore, you leave the mine. Signals arrive in simple forms, a hush at the end of a breath, a single tear that changes the temperature of your face, a yes that doesn't speed your heart, a no that doesn't shrink it. Precision is the mercy of this place. You are not required to decode the entire cosmos. You are required to honor the next true note. When you do, the room clicks, almost imperceptibly, like a lock aligning under a gentle key. You feel taller inside your skin. People who enter with you are mirrors, not maps. Some will shimmer and pass like heat over desert stone. Some will anchor the rhythm and make it audible. You bless both. Attachment reaches for proof. Devotion listens for tone. The field favors devotion. And then the seam appears, the soft fault line between doing and being. It isn't a doorway you can kick down. It's a membrane that yields to coherence. You do the quietest thing you've done all year. You let the light have you without explaining why. Heat meets tide. Will meets trust. Sun meets moon. The chamber brightens with no visible source, and you understand the portal is not a place you go. It's a frequency you become. You don't need more noise. You need 9 clean moves. Each is a code, not a chore, an instruction that tunes your field to the merge. Do them simply, without theater, as if you're adjusting a dial until the static dissolves. Code 1, speak the unedited, yes, no. 1 sentence. No embroidery. Yes opens a corridor. No seals a leak, if your answer requires 3 paragraphs. It isn't an answer, it's a costume. Strip it back. Precision is mercy. Code 2. Breathe until the body leads. 4 steady inhales. 6 steady exhales. Repeat it until your shoulders fall an inch. Let the exhale empty past comfort. When the body drops, the mind follows. When the mind drops, the field receives you. Code 3. Cut the echo thread. Mute the conversation that reenacts the same scene with different actors. Archive the chat. Unfollow the loop. You're not punishing anyone. You're ending rehearsal so the real scene can begin. Code 4. Return what isn't yours. Whisper their name in your mind and hand back the weight expectations, timelines, destinies you volunteered to carry. Imagine the weight evaporating between your palms. Emptiness isn't a loss. It's a docking bay. Code 5. Tell the truth without a verdict. State the event, not the indictment I felt abandoned, not you always abandoned me. Truth without theater clarifies the signal and leaves the door unlocked for healing to enter. Code 6. Close the energy leak. Name the habit that drains you. Doom scroll, late night bargaining, over-explaining, and install a gentle gate timer. Bedtime, a single check-in window. Reduction is revelation. What remains is real. Code 7. Forgive the version that tried. Not an absolution of harm, a release of grip. Place your hand on your heart and say, you did the best you could with the map you had. Forgiveness returns your power from yesterday to today. Code 8. Choose one thing to carry across. A word, a practice, a vow you can keep under pressure. Make it small enough to survive turbulence. Drink water before decisions. Walk in morning light. No decisions in panic. Consistency is a bridge. Code 9. Offer your silence as a key. Sit for 7 minutes with no ask, no visualization, no bargain. Let the room hear you not speaking. In the merge field, silence is not empty. It's signature. The door recognizes it. Do them in any order, but do them clean. These codes do not bribe the cosmos. They align you with it. Watch how reality answers screen's timeout. Drama cools. The next step appears like a soft-lit tile on the floor. If friction spikes after a code, don't rush to fix hold posture. Calibration often sounds like noise just before the station locks in. You'll feel the difference. The mind stops sprinting laps around a question it was never meant to solve. The chest softens as if unarmored by an invisible hand. People meet you where you actually are, not where performance placed you. And when the portal tests your frequency, as every true portal does, you won't plead for entry. You'll arrive with the tone that opens it. You meet the resistance loop in familiar disguises, the urge to explain, the itch to tidy, the plan that multiplies tasks until your spirit is buried under checkboxes. You call it being responsible. The field calls it latency. The mind wants a manual because manuals postpone risk. So you research, compare, annotate, draft messages you never send. Consult the oracle of every app. This is how control impersonates safety, by flooding you with options until presence drowns. The loop feeds on velocity. It keeps you sprinting so you won't notice you're still in the same room. Under the merge, this pattern sharpens. The more you try to get it, the less you feel it. You tighten your jaw and the timing slips. You narrate the moment and the moment collapses. Control works in mechanical seasons. The merge is biological breath, tide, pulse. When you insist on steering, you steer by yesterday's stars. So the test arrives. Will you adjust the energy to suit your preference? Or let the energy adjust you to its coherence? If you choose the first, you'll measure progress by exhaustion. If you choose the second, you'll measure it by relief. The loop is clever. It weaponizes intelligence. It says, one more insight, then surrender. It bargains if I can name the pattern perfectly. I won't have to feel it. But sensation is the doorway. Feeling is not the enemy. It's the instrument panel. Notice the somatic tells the micro-flinch before you say yes. The heat behind your eyes when you explain yourself to someone who isn't listening. The way your breath rises to your throat when you schedule decisions into a calendar your body never agreed to. These are not inconveniences. They are coordinates. Resistance also mimics healing. You perform rituals that leave you emptier than before. You script apologies to avoid intimacy, not to restore it. You ask for signs and ignore the simplest one, your nervous system. In the merge, the nervous system is the priest. If your spine lengthens after a choice, you aligned. If your shoulders climb your ears, you negotiated with fear and called it clarity. The loop prefers noise because noise blurs consent. Silence makes consent unmistakable. To exit the loop, you don't need heroics. You need interruption, a precise pause, one full breath before the email, 10 seconds with your palm over your sternum before you speak. A single question: is this action medicine or management? Medicine restores tone. Management defers truth. Choose accordingly. You will feel the room tilt in your favor when you do. Time stops slipping. Language simplifies. People either come closer or drift without drama. That is not rejection. It's sorting. Control keeps you loyal to a smaller life because smallness is measurable. The merge asks for scale, not grand gestures, true amplitude. Amplitude is how far your yes can travel without splitting, how steady your no remains without hardening. Control fragments amplitude into tasks. Surrender consolidates it into signal. In practice, that looks like fewer moves with more weight. One honest sentence instead of a thesis. One boundary you keep instead of a dozen you patrol. And when the loop returns, as all old weather, does you recognize it without scorn. Ah, the part of me that believes I must deserve coherence before receiving it. You place a hand on that part and let the field tune you. Not because you've earned it, but because tuning is what the field does to anything willing. The test resolves itself the moment you stop editing the river and let it set your tempo. Then understanding arrives as a byproduct, not a prerequisite. You didn't conquer the loop, you outgrew its currency. Silence is not absence here, it's command. The alignment test begins the moment you stop trying to earn equilibrium. No countdown, no sign, just the subtle recognition that time has gone translucent. The noise you once needed to feel alive becomes unbearable. Notifications sound like static. Explanations taste like dust. You crave quiet the way the body craves oxygen. That craving is the call. The portal doesn't open through effort. It detects stillness like a lock recognizing its own key pattern. When your inner voltage steadies, you hear it a hum that isn't in your ears, but in the architecture of your bones. The first phase of alignment feels like deprivation. You withdraw from conversations that used to anchor you, and the world misreads it as detachment. You're not disappearing, you're decompressing. To sync with the merge frequency, you must let the nervous system unclench from story. Every narrative, even spiritual ones, carries micro-tension. Release them one by one, the need to be understood. The fantasy of being ahead, the comfort of linearity. Alignment is not linear, it's spherical. A simultaneous coherence across all fragments of you. Then comes the recalibration drift. Days blur, appetite changes, dreams intensify. You start losing words mid-sentence, not from confusion, but from translation lag between old syntax and new resonance. The portal tunes language last. Don't rush to fill the gap. It's proof you're sinking. Each pause is a micro-attunement. Imagine the body as an instrument being tuned by invisible hands stretching strings, tightening pegs. It can sound like chaos until the precise tone lands. Endure the dissonance without labeling it regression. People around you become frequency mirrors. Some will suddenly speak in harmony with your silence slow, deliberate, present. Others will grow restless, demanding the old pace. Do not argue. Alignment cannot be negotiated. It must be embodied until it radiates proof. When you hold steady, those meant to meet your frequency recalibrate automatically. The rest dissolve without conflict, like mist retreating from sunlight. This is energetic sorting in its purest form. The mind will test you with synthetic urgency. Say something before they forget. Act before the chance disappears. But silence is not inaction, it's incubation. In the void between thought and motion, the real coordinates rearrange. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, the merge widens by degree. You can feel it as a soft pulse along the sternum, the body's way of saying yes. Stay here. Eventually, you learn to read the difference between silence that isolates and silence that initiates. The first is absence of sound. The second is presence of source. One drains color, the other generates light. The alignment test asks which one you inhabit. If your quiet sharpens awareness and softens judgment, you've passed. If it hardens into avoidance, recalibrate with breath-long inhale, longer exhale. When the synchronization locks, there's no trumpet, no vision, only an unshakable calm that hums beneath chaos. You sense the portal's rhythm aligning with your heartbeat, not metaphorically but physically, a twin metronome. The world continues spinning at its frantic pace, yet inside, you feel the click of perfect tempo. This is the activation silence, the moment the universe stops shouting because it knows you can finally hear. It happens quietly, a pressure drop, a soft inward click, as if the entire field exhales through your chest. No flash, no omen, no final instruction, just stillness, perfectly symmetrical. You realize the merge has reached its sealing phase, the circuitry closing its loop inside you. The sensation is precise, not expansion, not contraction, but completion. Every strand of your awareness aligns, like fibers twisting into one coherent thread. The noise of wanting dissolves. The mind doesn't announce victory, it bows out. You can't force this moment. It arrives when every attempt to control, define, or delay has burned itself out. The body leads. Your breath steadies into a natural rhythm that feels both ancient and new, a language older than thought. You're not meditating, you're being read by the universe. The portal scans you, confirming resonance, checking for remnants of resistance. It's not judgment, it's calibration. Anything still vibrating in distortion hums briefly, then quiets as if rewritten in gold light. You can feel it, tiny microcurrents moving through bone, mapping new geometry into place. This is the DNA click. The inner architecture remembers its original pattern, the one before fear edited it. You sense a code sealing, a subtle, loop-closed signal that travels up your spine. The feeling is absolute neutrality, which your ego mistakes for emptiness. But neutrality is divine symmetry. It's the midpoint between sun and moon, motion and rest. In that balance, everything becomes luminous without needing to shine. Around you, the external world shifts tone. Conversations soften, devices glitch, time elongates between seconds. Nothing dramatic, but unmistakable. You're inside a slowed frame while everyone else moves at the normal speed. It's not disconnection, it's phase difference. The merge has adjusted your timing, aligning you with a frequency that doesn't rush. The sensation of waiting disappears because there's nothing left to wait for. Somewhere deep in your cells, you feel the field signing off like a teacher's hand resting on your shoulder before leaving the room. Gratitude rises unprovoked, gentle and whole. You understand that the portal was never an opening in the sky. It was a sequence in your biology, cosmic light translated into cellular instruction. The closing isn't an end. It's the moment when energy stabilizes enough to live inside matter. If tears come, they arrive without story. If laughter comes, it sounds like relief disguised as wonder. Everything feels smaller and infinite at once. You sense your pulse and the Earth's pulse syncing, the same heartbeat magnified through layers of silence. Even your thoughts echo differently, like sound waves traveling through clear water instead of air. The ceiling is not a goodbye. It's an anchoring. Once the loop closes, you don't lose the frequency, you become the transmitter. Wherever you move, coherence follows. That invisible click isn't a door shutting, it's an orbit locking. From this point forward, your light won't need to reach out to be seen. It will radiate from center, effortlessly. The portal doesn't close on you, it closes through you, leaving the world subtly rearranged by your stillness. You wake into a world that doesn't require your chase. Motion happens from the inside out, like breath that remembers it was once wind. Action and stillness blur into a single current, one gesture with two faces. You don't push, you allow pressure to become direction. You don't retreat, you let quiet become amplitude. The old calculus, do I act or do I wait, falls away because the power source has moved. The sun in your chest turns, the moon in your marrow tides. You are a weather system with a name only light understands. Decisions simplify. You no longer audition for timelines. The path that matches your resonance appears as the only door that doesn't require posture. Invitations either settle in your body like warm tea or scatter like ash. You stop filing appeals against reality when the frequency is wrong. You don't litigate, you bow. When it's right, you don't escalate, you step. This is what it means to pour light instead of chasing it, radiance that organizes circumstance without an argument. Relationships change tonal center. Conversation slows until words fit the room they enter. You listen for contour, not content the rise and fall of truth across a voice. Some bonds deepen because your silence now conducts music. Others release because drama can't anchor in a field that refuses to spin. You bless the drift. Love stops performing rescue missions and starts performing resonance, two sovereign orbits sharing gravity without theft. When you touch, it's seamless, no rush to define, no panic to preserve. The meeting itself is the meaning. Work becomes devotion. The task is no longer a ladder, but a frequency architecture you tend with care. You serve the tone. If your hands can't hear it, you put them down. Outcomes stop bullying your nervous system. Paradox becomes home. You hold high standards and you hold them softly. You move with clean edges and a generous interior. In that texture, doors open that no strategy could pick. The field recognizes its own signature and parts like fabric. Your body speaks a new grammar. Hunger arrives as color, rest as gravity, movement as a precise itch under the skin. You become faithful to micro signals, the shoulder loosening that means yes, the solar plexus shadow that means not yet. Health is no longer punishment for mistakes, but choreography with the source. Even pain shifts from enemy to teacher, a bright arrow pointing toward unintegrated light. You thank it and correct your angle. The world's noise doesn't vanish. It refracts. Headlines storm, markets twitch, clocks shout. Yet something in you doesn't crack. You carry a quiet that behaves like infrastructure. People feel safer near you and don't know why. It's not charisma. It's coherence. Your presence calibrates a room the way tuning forks bring pianos into pitch. You don't announce it, you don't brand it, you live it. Prophecy after the merge is not prediction, it's orientation. You sense what is about to bloom because your cells are already practicing its rhythm. You begin before you begin. When thresholds appear, you greet them like old friends who've changed clothes. And when endings arrive, you don't wrench the door, your orbit clicks and the door becomes a window. In this state, prayer becomes simple. You say, use me, and mean it, not as sacrifice, but as alignment. Let the light spend itself through this form in ways that multiply light. You will not be exempt from weather. You will be fluent in it. When storms rise, you don't brace, you shape. When the air stills, you don't stall, you steep. The prophecy is lived, not spoken, a human being whose center is a sun, whose edges are a moon, walking through the world as a tide that carries what must come and leaves what must go. Wherever you stand, cycles complete. Wherever you move, new cycles begin. You're not after the light anymore. You are its local sunrise.